Donald Trump just exploded, publicly, unapologetically, and with zero filter. And this time, he wasn't just mad at one enemy, he was furious at both Israel and Iran, two nations he had just brokered a historic ceasefire between. What set him off? A dramatic breakdown of trust, chaos in the skies, and a world watching as peace crumbled in real time. But behind the fiery posts and profanity-laced statements lies a much bigger story, one that could reshape global power for decades to come. The ceasefire that wasn't. Just hours before the chaos, President Trump had declared a ceasefire between Israel and Iran, ending what he called the 12-day war. It was supposed to be a turning point, an unexpected diplomatic win, after days of escalating violence, mounting casualties, and a world on edge. The agreement came after Iran launched a symbolic but limited missile strike on a US airbase in Qatar, responding to America's earlier bombing of its nuclear sites. The world braced for a bloodbath. Instead, Trump announced peace. Iran agreed, reportedly under pressure from Qatar's prime minister. Israel gave the nod. For a moment, it looked like the violence was over. But the calm didn't last. A fragile deal instantly shattered. By sunrise, missiles were back in the sky. Reports confirmed that both Israel and Iran had exchanged fresh rocket fire just hours after the ceasefire was declared. Iran fired at Israel, Israel retaliated, and just like that, the agreement began to unravel. On the surface, each side claimed the other broke the deal first, but behind closed doors, Trump was livid. This wasn't just a foreign policy failure, it was personal. After personally stepping in to broker peace, Trump felt both nations had spit in his face.
They don't know what the F they're doing.
Leaving the White House for a NATO summit, Trump didn't hold back. Speaking to reporters, he unleashed a tirade no one expected. "I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them." He paused, then dropped the bomb. "We basically have two countries that have been fighting for so long and so hard, they don't know what the F they're doing." He wasn't just angry, he was insulted. Trump had given both nations a chance to step back from the edge. Instead, they'd chosen to leap off it, and he wasn't about to let that slide. Presidential ultimatum: bring your pilots home now. Within minutes of boarding Marine One, Trump fired off a Truth Social post that sent shockwaves across the globe. In all caps, he wrote, "Israel, do not drop those bombs. If you do, it is a major violation. Bring your pilots home now." The world held its breath. Was he serious? He was. Moments later, another post followed. "Israel is not going to attack Iran. All planes will turn around and head home while doing a friendly plane wave to Iran. Nobody will be hurt. The ceasefire is in effect. Thank you for your attention to this matter." And then came one final line. "Iran will never rebuild their nuclear facilities." The president wasn't just stopping a war, he was declaring psychological dominance, with the press, messages, and military orders all rolled into one. Behind the rage, Trump's frustration with both sides. Trump later said that both Iran and Israel had come to him for peace almost simultaneously. He saw himself as the one man who could stop the madness. So when violence continued despite the ceasefire, his outburst wasn't just anger, it was betrayal. He slammed both countries for their recklessness and claimed they were too blinded by history to see the future. "They have so much to gain," he posted, "and yet so much to lose if they stray from the road of righteousness and truth." Trump's fury wasn't just emotional, it was strategic. He was reminding the world that he, not Israel or Iran, was now the center of the Middle East chessboard. Fallout in Israel, stunned and embarrassed. Behind the scenes, Israeli officials were stunned. According to a source familiar with internal discussions, the country's leadership felt blindsided and embarrassed by Trump's public shaming. Just hours earlier, they believed they'd scored a decisive military win. But now, Trump had flipped the script, and they were scrambling to adjust. Still, Israeli leadership stood by the ceasefire, confident that the damage they'd inflicted on Iran's nuclear program was massive enough to hold bloodshed and skepticism. But on the ground, the bloodshed continued. Iranian state media reported that 9 people, including a senior nuclear scientist, were killed in Israeli strikes just before the ceasefire. The attack took place at the scientist's family home in northern Iran. Iran's health ministry claimed 610 people had died overall. Independent groups put the number closer to 974. On the other side, Iranian missile strikes on Israel killed at least 28 people, including civilians in Beersheba. Despite Trump's efforts, the damage had already been done. And among everyday Iranians, few believed the ceasefire would hold. "I believe the whole war was orchestrated," one man said. Israel and the US destroyed military and nuclear sites. Iran launched a few missiles, and both sides are satisfied. But ordinary people suffered the most. The bigger picture. Was this all just theatre? As experts weighed in, a darker theory emerged. Was the war always destined to end this way? Was it a power show designed to hit key targets, rattle cages and walk away before things spiraled? Some Middle East analysts believe Iran purposely gave a weak response to the US strike, knowing escalation would be suicide. Trump himself called their response very weak, a calculated move to avoid war, not win it. Others suggested that Israel's campaign may have been timed precisely to end with the ceasefire. A strike, a statement, then a handshake. But regardless of the behind-the-scenes strategy, one thing was clear. Trump had inserted himself not just as a peace broker, but as the central figure in the conflict. Trump's gamble. By the time he boarded Air Force One, Trump had declared victory. He stopped a war, at least on paper. He called the ceasefire a triumph, claimed both sides wanted peace, and insisted the future for Israel and Iran was filled with love, peace, and prosperity. But back in the region, missiles were still being fired, civilians were still dying, and leaders on both sides were still accusing each other of breaking the very deal they agreed to. So was Trump's intervention a masterstroke or a temporary band-aid? Let us know what you think in the comments below. That's all for this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel for future videos on President Trump, celebrity news, world events, and so much more. While you're at it, be sure to check out our TikTok page for even more content. Thank you. Your support means a lot to us.